The door seal is actually one of the most common parts to be replaced on these front-loading washing machine units. And that's because water can build up easily between the door seal, creating mold and mildew, which then causes bad odors for clothes, and it can also cause the seal itself to deteriorate and start to fail. The washing machine door seal is available online by searching the make and model of your unit plus door seal. For example, I would search Whirlpool Duet Sport on Google plus door seal. And you can confirm that the part number is correct by calling the manufacturer. Like I said, my make and model is the Whirlpool Duet Sport. However, if yours is different, the layout should be very similar so that you could follow along within these next steps and get a good idea as to how easy this replacement is. Step one when working on any kind of electrical appliance, guys, it's always important that you unplug the power first. So we're going to need to remove the front face and the door to gain access to the washer seal. So to do that, we're going to be removing the top first. So if you come around to the back here, we're going to be removing these screws here on the back to lift off the top. And as you can see, I'm using this hex head bit. It's a 1/4 inch on a drill to speed things up. Next step, we're going to remove the soap dispenser tray. Simply slide it out, and there'll be a lock right here. You want to depress on that, and it'll come right out. Set that aside. Next, we should just be able to lift off the top. Now that we've removed the top, we're going to remove the fascia here. And that's the front piece that's separate from the door and the panel. So to do that, yours may be slightly different, but there'll be some screws on the top and perhaps around the dishwasher tray that you'll need to remove. In my case, we have a screw underneath here, and it's a Phillips. So we got our Phillips bit. We're going to remove that right now. Finally, remove any screws around the soap dispenser tray. In this case, we have a hex head bit in here. Once you have it off, just set it aside on the top here. Right, so next we're going to access the kick plate for the final screws, but I've got some deck board here. 2x4 works, or scrap brick, for example, if you have any lying around in your garage. And what we're going to use it for is slide it under the unit so we can jack it up and gain access to these screws at the bottom here. Carefully tilt your unit on the back legs. Slide your board under, like so. With the screws off, the kick plate should lift off. So keep these two top screws on until you have the retaining band popped off. That way it's not going to be hanging there. It'll be a lot easier to work on. To get this retaining band off, just carefully pop a flathead screwdriver under there. And you don't want to use too much force because you're going to use this retaining band. So be careful with it. Just pull it off. Take the seal off the doorlet. And take note how it's placed in this ridge here. That's exactly how we're going to fit the new one. So peel it off all the way around. Next, you're going to want to take your T20 hex head bit and take off these 2 screws that secure the door lock. Finally, remove the remaining 2 screws up here. Alright, set your door and your face aside. So now that your door face and your door is off, we're going to be taking off the final retaining band from the seal that's holding it to the drum. In my case, we have this machine screw here with a Phillips. So you can move this rubber out of your way and carefully unscrew it to release the tension. With that off, now's a great time to clean around the lip. So some warm soapy water and a microfiber cloth. We're going to give this lip a good clean so it's ready for the new seal. Alright, it's looking good. Now the next step is to fit your new seal to the drum the same way your old one came off. And it's important to note these little arrows here. As you can see, this one says down and this one says up. And that is because if you open this up here, you can see these drain holes. They need to go at 6 o'clock face down to the floor. If yours don't have the arrows, just look for the little drain holes inside the seal. And the way this gets fastened is the same way it came off, working around the top of the drum here, and just set the new seal right up on top of that ridge. So to do that, peel it back. Give it a light pull. Make sure it's all on there properly. So loosen it off all the way. And that way it'll make your life easier when you're trying to reinstall it around the lip here. So with it loosened all the way, now you're going to want to work the spring back around the far ridge, the outside lip, right to the back of the drum. And make sure you put the spring in an accessible spot. We're just loosening it off a little more to get that extra play at the bottom, like so. Now before you tighten it back up, just double check, run your fingers around the lip, make sure it's all inside of the ridge. Tighten it back up. That's good and tight. Alright guys, once you've reinstalled the fascia, the kick plate, the front face, and the top, it's all reassembled. You're going to take your retaining spring, and if you come in nice and close, we're going to take our washer seal. We're going to peel it out over the lip here. So we want to get this ridge. This is where the retaining band is going to sit. We want to seat this ridge over this metal lip here on the washer. So we're going to work our way around. inspect it, make sure it's nice and seated all the way over the ridge. So for the last step, we're going to reinstall our retaining spring, and it's advisable to use a couple mini clamps and seat them along the ridge here so that your retaining spring doesn't slip out when you're doing the install. So you can use a couple of pliers like so. For this next step, we're just going to pull it apart with the pliers. Once your band's on, double check it, make sure it's seated all the way around. You'll know if it's off if the rubber starts to peel. Lastly, take your soap dispenser tray and reinstall that by pushing on the tab. So finally, run it on a quick wash cycle. Make sure to check around the door seal for any signs of leakage. Also underneath, it's all dry, that's a good sign. Alright guys, there you have it. Washing machine seal complete. It's looking great. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it.